And this is where I can really help you, because maybe you're kind of like, well, Alicia, I don't know what small focused effort I can take that will actually produce the results I want. Well, lucky for you, that's my jam. Quick, simple techniques to help you get big results. And I've been doing it for years. Welcome to REV Your Metabolism with Alicia Murphy. I'm Alicia, your host, creator of Stress Monkey Fitness, the REV method, and your go-to health coach for being super fit and unstoppable after 40. With 15 years of rocking the fitness and nutrition industry, plus overseeing the wellness program for a major shoe company, I'm here to share my knowledge with you. Are you ready to join me on an exciting journey to restore your metabolism, boost your health, and turn back the aging clock? On this podcast, we'll unlock the secrets to boundless energy, burning more fat naturally, and feeling confident in your own skin. Get ready to soak up simple yet powerful strategies that will transform your health and fitness game. These tips will be a game changer, so hang on to your hats and glasses. And do not forget to hit that follow button so you won't miss any of our amazing tips and tricks. All right, let's rev it up. Today we're talking about fit in a flash. This is the super busy guide to getting in shape, because we're all busy, right? We have a lot of things going on. And I'm here to tell you that there is things that you can do to get results without having to do all the things, without the overwhelm. And what we're going to talk about today is really dialing it down and only prioritizing the things that are going to actually get you results. Because I've been doing this a long time, and there's a whole lot of different things that we could do. We can always improve our health. We can always get better. But there are a few things that if you're not already doing them, they are going to help you to get better results. And today for this podcast, obviously what we're talking about is getting, in better shape, improving your health, etc. I know you're busier than a mosquito on a nudist beach, but I'm here today to help you figure out how to get results without taking all the time. Sounds good? All right, so I'm going to start by reading. Oh, wait a second. And again, this is a video version as well today, but if you're listening to only on audio, that's cool too, Rever. But I want you to go put your shoes on. I want you to get out there, get some steps in, get some movement in. Let's walk and talk. And here we go. I'm going to kick off today with a quote, and it really ties into what we're going to talk about on the podcast today. Complexity means distracted effort. Simplicity means focused effort. And that's by Edward de Bono. It's all about simplicity. We all have a lot of things going on. That's just the world we're living in today. And when you're tackling too much, you're going to fizzle. And then you get frustrated, and then you're not getting results. So today we're going to talk about the power of focused effort. So cutting out the fluff, cutting out all the extras, and betting it all on simple things with focused effort that will actually move the needle. Sound good? Right, this is not a do all the things approach that we're going to talk about today. And you're going to actually walk away today with a plan. This is kind of like you and me, we're working together here, Rever. We're going to get you ready to go, ready to rock with a plan of attack after today's episode. And I quickly want to mention that I actually made a worksheet to go along with today's episode. You can download the worksheet as you're listening to this if you're not out on your walk, Or you can always just listen to this just to get an idea of how the worksheet works. And then you can download it later and fill it out on your own. To grab the worksheet for the super busy guide to getting in shape, you're just going to go to stressmonkey.com/busy. And remember, monkey is spelled E-E, not E-Y. So stressmonkey.com/busy, B-U-S-Y. All right, moving on. We're going to get this party started with a fact or fiction. Back to fiction. Yeah. Okay, back to fiction. The Pareto principle is sometimes referred to as the 80-20 rule. Is that fact or fiction? Ding, 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 ding. That is fact. And that's what we're going to get started with today, talking about this idea. And if you've never heard of the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, it basically goes like this. It's a principle that says 80% of outcomes can come from 20% of causes. I'm going to give you some examples just to make sure you understand what I'm talking about. But before I get to the example, in other words, what's the least amount of effort I have to do in order to actually see results for the goal that I have? That's what I'm all about. I want the least amount of effort with the biggest return on investment. Does that sound good to you? Yeah, I thought so. Let me give you some examples just to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying with this 80-20 principle. 20% of a plant contains 80% of the fruit. 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of its customers. 20% of players result in 80% of the points scored. Kind of clearing it up now. So in other words, today what I'm going to help you decide to determine is what are the things that you can do that are going to not seem so overwhelming, but will actually elicit results. So we're going to use this idea of the 80-20 rule as inspiration to determine and to prioritize the highest impact tasks and habits that will increase your results without overhauling your whole entire life. We're going to identify which actions will have the most impact for you working towards your goal. Sounds good? All right. So that's going to be on the one part of it, is this idea of the 80-20 rule. But then we're also going to bring something else in that I'm going to talk about right now. We're going to mush them together for you to create this really powerful impact statement that you're going to walk away with today, an action statement, I should say. So we're going to come up with a very specific habit, maybe two. I really don't want you to come up with more than two today. And I'll explain why in a second, but I'd like you to do one, maybe two. And it's going to help you to create a new identity, a new way to see yourself, a new way to believe about yourself. And I want to explain why this is really, really crucial. Changing our habits is hard because oftentimes we're trying to change the wrong thing. Now, in Atomic Habits, a book written by James Clear, he talks about 3 different types of goal setting. And I went over this in episode 24. So if you want to go back, I'm gonna quickly brush over one part that I talked about because it ties into today. But if you want to dig deeper on this topic, then go back and listen to episode 24. But he talks about 3 layers of habit change. So I want you to think of a bullseye, and it's got 3 rings. There's an outer ring, a center ring, and then there's the middle and the core. I also say you could think of it like a jawbreaker cut in half, right? You've got that center core and then a ring and then that outer ring. The first layer, that outside layer, that is changing your outcomes. So that on the outside layer, we have the word outcomes. This level is concerned with changing your results. So an example of this would be losing weight, right? That's the outcome that you want to get. Then that middle layer is called processes. And this is about changing your process. This layer is concerned with changing your habits, your systems in order to reach your goal. So an example of this would be eating healthier or changing your exercise routine. That's the process you're taking to get to the outcome you want, which is losing weight. And then the third deepest layer we have at the core is changing your identity. And this level is concerned with changing your beliefs. So an example of this would be your self-image, what you believe yourself to be, who you believe yourself to be. So outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. Many people begin changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. And so this is called outcome-based habits. But the alternative to this, and it's truly a game changer. If you can wrap your mind around this, this is a game changer and will make it much more likely that you're going to succeed at creating new habits or breaking old habits for that matter. It's to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we want to become. Who we want to become. And let me explain a little bit why this works. When you say things to yourself like, oh, I'm always so tired. I never have enough time. Oh, I'm always eating this crappy food, whatever it is. And you really believe that about yourself. And then you decide you're going to start going to the gym. So you get up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to the gym. And your brain's like, but we're always tired and we're always so busy. We're not a gym type person. We don't. And so it's like your brain is fighting with you. But if you can take on this new identity as somebody who likes to move their body, who likes to feel good, who likes to feel fit and strong and healthy, and you start really thinking of yourself like that, there's going to be much less of a barrier, much less pushback from your subconscious, right? And here's another example. If somebody asked me, Alicia, why don't you smoke? I would say, because I'm not a smoker. There's no, it's black and white. I'm not tempted to smoke because I am not a smoker. Make sense? Behind every system of actions, there is a system of beliefs. So you can have a new plan, you can have a new goal, but first you have to change who you are and who you believe yourself to be. True behavior change is identity change. We can change bit by bit. We change day by day. We change habit by habit. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person that you want to become. And as these votes build up, so does the evidence of this new identity. So you're like, great, Alicia. Yeah, I want to think of myself as, somebody who's really healthy, somebody who's in really great shape. But how do I go from here to there? Well, you do small, tiny actions that are doable, that can fit into your life. And every time you do that action to take you a step closer to creating this new identity, it's like you're reaffirming in your mind that that's who you are. And it's going to get easier and easier and easier. And you're going to start taking bigger steps. And eventually, all of a sudden, you really have this identity about yourself. And you're living the life to support who you are. So this does not require radical change. I just said that. We're talking baby steps, and that's what I'm going to help you with. Small habits, please hear what I'm saying, can make a meaningful difference by providing evidence of this new identity. We are going to set small habits today, all right? Please don't be tempted to make some crazy big change because it's too hard to stick with it. So here's the process of creating a new identity that we're going to work on today together, because I talked about this in episode 24, but I want to take it a little bit deeper and actually help you to start to create this new identity. So it's a two-step process. Number one, decide who you want to be. And we're going to think about that in just a second. And then number two, prove it to yourself with small wins. And again, today's focus, the goal that we're going to be setting, the ideas I'm going to be giving you, suggestions of what you can be doing, it's all geared towards health, weight loss, having more energy, etc. All right. Now, proving it to yourself with small wins. This is where I'm going to help you come up with actions that have a big impact on your health or your weight goals or having more energy, whatever it is. Remember that 80-20 rule that we just talked about, the Pareto principle. What can I do to get the biggest results from the least amount of effort? Meaning non-crazy, overwhelming, I think I might start crying type of effort. You don't want that. So let's take just a second here. It's your turn. I want you to dig in. This is going to be really fun. All right. So again, we're bringing these two things together. We're bringing that 80-20 principle. That means 20% of your effort is going to create 80% of your results. And then the second part is that 80-20. Watch, I'm going to help you with what action to use for that 80-20 is going to help you craft this new identity. I want you to visualize for a second. And if you're out walking, you can visualize without closing your eyes, because I don't want you to run into a tree or trip or anything like that. Visualize yourself being this person that you want to be. So visualize yourself having the health that you want to have. What does that look like? See yourself with the energy that you want to have, the vitality. Maybe it's your weight. What does that look like? How does it feel to be this weight that you want to be? Maybe you want to be more youthful. Maybe you want to be strong. I want you to see it, really see it. And now, if I was to ask you, explain to me what type of person that is that you're imagining. What type of person is that? So ask yourself this question. Who's the type of person that could get the outcome that I want? Who's the type of person that could get the outcome that I want? If you want to be lean, if you want to be, strong and fit and in shape. I love, my new favorite word to say all the time is fit, because I keep thinking of Keely Jones on The Greatest Show Ever Made, Ted Lasso. And I love how she says, she's mad fit, yo. Okay, so fit, right? Anyways, what's the type of person? So start to think about that. Maybe the person you want to become is, I want to become a person who is extremely fit and loves to move their body. That could be something you could think of. And then a good question to ask yourself when you're faced with these day-to-day choices, because it all comes down to the choices we make minute by minute, day by day, right? I love this. When you're faced with a decision, you're you're at a restaurant with friends and you can ask yourself, what would a healthy person do? Because the idea of this podcast today is to boost your health, whatever that is. What would a healthy person do? What would a healthy person order right now? I've been sitting around all day. What would a healthy person do? A healthy person would take a 15-minute walk real quick, right? It's just always thinking like that. Now let's combine who you want to be, this identity, and don't feel pressured. You don't have to do this right this second. You could go download that worksheet. Remember, stressmonkey.com/busy, and it's with 2 E's. You could download the worksheet and do this later. But I just want you to listen to this episode just so I can explain the different actions that I'm recommending that you choose from. So we're going to combine who you want to be with a small, focused action that will act as a vote in reaffirming this identity, this who you're becoming, the person you are becoming. And this is where I can really help you. Because maybe you're like, Alicia, I get it. I understand. I think it's awesome, but I don't know what are some small actions I can take that will get me big results. Welp, lucky you. This is my jam. Simple, quick techniques to help you get in shape. And I've been doing this for a lot of years. So buckle up. Fancy. I don't know. Here we go. We're going to go through 4 categories. We're going to go through fitness, meaning movement and exercise. We're going to go through nutrition, meaning your eating, hydration. We're going to go through stress. And this is where it might not be exactly what you're thinking. Things that your body perceives as a stressor. And this goes beyond mental and emotional stress. So when we get to that category, I'm going to do a little bit of a better job explaining what that means. And then the 4th, that to me is arguably the most important, is mindset. Because you bring about what you think about, right? It all has to start with the mindset. And I love that you're here doing this with me because creating a new identity falls under mindset. So you're already doing something. Yeah. Okay. I'm just curious, right off the top of the bat. Out of those 4 categories, fitness, nutrition, stress, mindset, where do you think you're lacking the most? So you know what you need to be doing. And you probably know, like, listen, I eat really healthy, but I'm not exercising. Or you're like, I go to the gym 5 days a week, but then I eat like shit. So where is it that you, right off the bat, what does your gut tell you? Because under each category, I'm going to list some suggested actions that I know will have a major impact, that if you focus on just one of each of the actions I'm going to list. And if someone asked me, what steps or in what order would you do things to boost your health or lose weight if you had to start all over from the beginning? If you were starting at square one, that's the order I'm going to give you these actions in each category. Now, listen, I'm not here to tell you exactly what to do or who to be, but I want you to hopefully take some of these ideas, these tools, these techniques that I'm giving you and make them your own, apply them to your individual lifestyle. All right. And as we move through these categories, remember the word simplicity. We want focused effort. So as I'm naming off these different things in order that I think you should tackle them, do not be tempted to say like, ooh, like 4 of those sound good. I'll just do them all. No, I want you to pick one thing. And like I said, maybe 2, that's the limit. Not all the things. Okay. When we're done here today, or when you go download that worksheet and you work through this on your own, because I know if it was me listening to this, I'd be like, I need to sit down and give this some thought. You should have, again, one, maybe two, what I call action statements. And I'm going to give you the formula for that. All right. So as you're doing these things, and again, could be something as simple as you want to create a habit of walking. So you're going to just put on your walking shoes every day. I mean, I know that sounds silly, but you'll probably actually do it, right? And then what happens is it's like a domino effect. Or I really like the analogy of a snowball. So by putting on your shoes, it's like these little snowflakes coming down. The more you do it, the more you're casting that vote for this identity, who you want to become. Maybe you want to become a person that walks every day. All right. Well, what's going to happen is you're like, I'm putting on my shoes every single day. I'm sorry, my hand movements keep making my camera go blurry because I think I was Italian in my last life because I like to talk with my hands. And if you're listening to this, you don't even know that's happening. So it doesn't matter. Okay, back to what I was saying. You're doing this really small little action. It's like little snowflakes coming down. And eventually you're going to add on. So you're saying, Alicia, I put my shoes on every day. It's like I do it without thinking. Okay, now I'm going to tell you, I want you to walk outside and then come back in the house. Put your shoes on, walk outside, and then come back in the house. You're like, okay. So you start doing that. Well, now the snow's starting to accumulate. The next thing you're going to do after you're used to that is I'm going to say, now I want you to go for a 5-minute walk, just 5 minutes, and so on and so on. As this snow accumulates, it turns into a snowball. It starts to roll down the hill. It gains momentum. It picks up more snow and eventually becomes an avalanche. And you're a full-on walker before you know it. All right? Here we go. We're going to start with fitness. And now the categories I'm not putting in any particular order. You decide where you think you are lacking. And I'm going to run through this pretty quickly because you're going to have that worksheet, but I want to make sure I'm explaining how to do each thing that's on the worksheet. It's basically, it's a worksheet / checklist. Under fitness, the very first thing, if you're not doing this already, that's very important, is just daily movement overall. Not going to the gym, not going on long walks. If you are very sedentary, I want you to just start focusing on more daily movement. So what does that mean? That means when you go to the store, I want you to park far out. I want you to take the stairs if you can. I want you to get up every once in a while and just walk around the room real quick. Be intentional about just getting more daily movement. That's all I'm asking. If you have a step tracker, a fitness tracker, whatever you want to call it, great. That's helpful. Maybe you're only getting like 2,000 steps a day. Well, if you just add in more movement, let's try to double that. Maybe get it up to 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day. Number one. Number two is daily or on most days going for a walk. 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I really don't care how long. There's no such thing as too short of a walk. No such thing. I'm not going to go into all the benefits right now about walking. I've said this on past podcasts, and I'm sure I will continue to do so. Why do I want you to go on a walk when you're listening to this podcast? The health benefits are flippin' enormous, and walking is one of the most underrated forms of exercise. But if your focus is on boosting your health, getting better blood work numbers, losing weight, helping to manage stress, walking is where it's at, right? So that's number two, daily or on most days walking. Number three, now I want you to add in some strength training, resistance training, weight training, okay? And again, I'm not going to go too far deep into it, but here's an example of what you could use for your small little habit that you're going to apply. I'm going to strength train for 5 minutes, 5 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Or hell, on Saturdays. I'm going to strength train for 5 minutes on Saturdays. Whatever you are 100% sure that you will actually do. On a scale of 1 to 10, if I was to say, will you strength train for 5 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? If you're like, yeah, and I say on a scale of 1 to 10, you're like, a 7? No. I need it to be a 9 or a 10. So if I said, will you strength train for 5 minutes on a Saturday? And you're like, absolutely. Okay, that's how you know that's where you need to start. Strength training, if you're just starting out, could be doing some push-ups and some squats at home, right? So that's what I want you to get started on. Overall daily movement, then we're going to move into dedicated walking, then we're going to move into strength training, resistance training, weight training. Number 4, now if you're doing all those things, you can add in some interval training. And this is really great for cardiovascular health, but also if your goal is fat loss, doing interval training is a great tool. What I'm going to quickly explain what I mean when I say interval training. I'm talking about doing short bouts of high intensity and then a longer period of time where you're recovering. And that doesn't mean sitting down. That means you're going to keep moving. So I'm going to give you some specific examples. And you'd be surprised how much this gasses you. So sprinting, you don't have to actually sprint. That's what I used to use, but now my body does not like to sprint anymore. It gets very angry with me. But here's an example. You sprint really hard for 15 or 20 seconds on the treadmill or outside, whatever. And then you spend about a minute to a minute and a half walking or jogging. And you repeat that. That's intervals. But you can do it with any modality that you want to. You could do that on an elliptical. You could do that on a bike. You could do that walking on a treadmill. You could put the incline way up for like 20 seconds and then put it back down and walk for a couple minutes. That is intervals. Now, I want to say this. If you are over 40, do not do that more than, I would say, once a week, unless you're extremely conditioned already. Okay, 1 day a week, and you want to keep it to only about 15 minutes. There you have it. And then the 5th thing that I would do if you're doing all those things already is I would just start to do some extra cardio. So, riding the bike, jogging, you get it? All right. And again, this is on that worksheet, so go grab it. stressmonkey.com/busy if you want all of these suggestions. I'm giving you literally the keys to the kingdom right here. Okay. I'm breaking it down for you, Babaloo, my sweet rever. Let's move on to nutrition. Nutrition has 7 different things. Okay. And don't worry, mindset and stress don't have as much. So nutrition, the first thing I would do that is going to move the needle, that is not going to be overwhelming, is only eat if you are hungry. No mindless snacking. I want to get rid of snacking altogether if possible, unless you're actually hungry. Every time you go to eat, this would be what you would practice. Am I actually hungry? Do I feel physically hungry? And if the answer is no, then I don't want you to eat. I'm not saying to starve yourself. And if you're somebody who's like, well, I'm never hungry and I'm underweight, obviously this does not apply to you. This is going to be for somebody who wants to lose some weight or maybe needs to get their cholesterol down, etc. Only eat if you're hungry. Okay. That's number 1. Number 2, stop eating when you've had enough. So it's stopping eating when you're no longer hungry, not when you're full. Big difference. So I want you to start checking in with yourself. Am I still hungry? Have I had enough? Have I had enough? And then stop. Okay? That's number 2. Number 3, stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Again, these are things that are totally doable, and they will really get you results if you do these things. So don't do all of them. Pick one. Okay? And I'm giving them to you in the order that I think will help you to achieve results, one step at a time. So number 3, stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Obviously, unless you have a health reason that you need to eat before bed. Number 4, protein. This is a big one. And this is kind of a 2-parter. First of all, I want you to have a high protein breakfast. And if you're over 40, I'm talking 30 to 50 grams of protein at breakfast. Yeah. And I'm not going to go into the whole nitty gritty why. I've talked about it before, but it's very important that you get a high protein breakfast. It sets your blood sugar up to be balanced throughout the day and a bunch of other stuff. But that's part A of the protein. Part B of the protein, and you don't need to do both of these, pick one or the other. if you're not eating a high protein breakfast, maybe start with that, is just get your daily protein amount, right? So what do you want to weigh? How much weight? What's your ideal weight? Let's say your ideal weight is 150 pounds. Then I want you to aim for 150 pounds, 150 pounds. Oh God, do not eat 150 pounds of protein. I want you to aim for 150 grams of protein per day, if that's your goal weight. If you're nowhere near that, then just start with 100. All right. And hey, while we're at it, I did make a cheat sheet for the last episode, ideas of how to get enough protein. So if you want that, you can go to stressmonkey.com/protein. Remember, how is monkey spelled? Rever. That's right, instead of EY. My son is upstairs probably just cringing at what a dork his mom is right now. All right. Moving on to fiber. This is the fifth thing. So you got your protein dialed in, great. Get your fiber dialed in. Another, I'll probably have done a whole episode on fiber. So I'm not going to go into that now, but it's really important. And I'm going to give you numbers. So women, you should be having about 24 to 26 grams of fiber per day, and men about 36 to 38 grams per day. But here's a little caveat. If you are not eating much fiber already, do not go from 2 grams a day to 26 grams a day. You're going to have some issues. Okay. There's going to be some tummy problems. So ratchet it up a little bit at a time, maybe 5 grams a day. Okay. Ease into the fiber train, right? But you got to get on the fiber train. It's really important. All right. Number 6 is your meals, your overall meals. This is going to be very, very helpful. Make sure the base, the foundation of your meal, half of the plate is going to be veggies. And there needs to be protein. I want you to make sure you have those 2 things in place. I want a lot of veggies. That could mean a salad. And I want you to have a good source of protein every time you eat a meal. Every time you eat a meal. Okay, that's number 6. And then the last one, number 7, for if you're focusing on weight loss, improved blood sugar, fat loss, I should say, improved blood sugar, then try to eat starchy carbs at only 1 meal per day. Okay. What is starchy carbs? Bread, pasta, potatoes, rice. Try to only have that at 1 meal per day if you're eating them a lot more than that. And that doesn't mean like, oh, Alicia said eat it 1 meal per day, so I'm going to gorge myself. Have a serving of starchy carbs at 1 meal per day. Okay? Capiche? Moving on, let's do mindset. And we're getting close here. Don't worry. Number 1, identity. You got to get that identity nailed, and you're doing that. So you can just skip on to the next thing. Number 2, you're going to write your I am statement. So this is something that we do in my program called the REV method. I have everybody write I am statements, and a lot of people swear by this because it just gets your mind right. So you're going to write something like, oh, do you love how I grabbed a pen? If you're listening right now and not watching the video, I literally picked up a pen and I'm pretending like I'm writing on the camera. Okay. Anyways, I am strong. I am fit. I am lean. I am healthy. I am unstoppable. I am energetic. Get the idea? You're going to write some I am statements and you're going to read them every single day. And again, that could be the one thing you pick, right? And then this is a big helpful thing, is to just get it in your mind that change is hard, change is uncomfortable, right? But here's the switcherooski. I'm choosing this discomfort because I deserve to feel good. I deserve to be healthy. I deserve to get results, whatever it is. So that is something, if you choose that one, I want you to constantly remind yourself every time you get uncomfortable, every time you're asking yourself, what would a healthy person do? And you're like, but I don't want to order the salad. I want to order the pizza. then you're going to say, you know what? It's uncomfortable, but I'm choosing this discomfort because I deserve to be healthy and I deserve to feel really good. It's accomplishment over comfort. Okay. And then the last thing you can do under mindset is start to visualize, 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 visualize. And that kind of goes hand in hand with identity. But start your day by sitting down, close your eyes for just a few minutes and visualize yourself as already being this person that you are becoming. All right, moving on to stress. And then we're going to wrap it up with, I'm going to give you the formula of how to write your action statement. Stress, there's a lot of options for this. So I'm just going to give you the big ones that I know will actually help move the needle. The number one, hands down, that I put under stress is sleep, getting enough sleep. It is crucial. If you are somebody who has a hard time sleeping, you got to get that figured out, okay? Because it's when all the magic happens, honestly. Not only for your health, but for building lean muscle, for losing weight, all of the things, you need to get enough sleep. So that's number one, under stress. Number two, you got to figure out what are your chronic stressors. And this is what I hinted to in the beginning, because when I ask somebody what is stress, they're going to immediately go to mental stress, right? Emotional stress. But no. That is not the only stressors. Stress is anything your body perceives as a stress. So that can be dehydration. That can be not getting enough sleep. That could be a food intolerance, eating too much junk food, overly processed foods, a chronic ache or pain. That could be too much sitting, not enough movement actually stresses out your body. And these things, you need to stop and think, am I not getting enough sleep on a regular basis? Am I not drinking enough water? Am I dehydrated a lot? Am I eating a lot of overly processed food? So just sit down and identify, okay, well, what are the things, and look at the cheat sheet, because I listed out ideas of what are stressors outside of mental and emotional stress. And the beautiful thing is a lot of these stressors are things that you can do something about. Oftentimes mental and emotional stress is things that happen to us that we have no control over, but you have control over if you're hydrated, right? So sit down, and if you have these things that are probably stressing out your body, and too much high intensity exercise, that can be a stressor. The last thing is daily Zen monkey. And what this means is, again, trying to avoid stress or say, I'm just going to be, I hate when I read things about how to be stress-free. A, that's literally impossible and delusional. And B, you would die without stress. Your body actually needs some forms of stress. And I've talked about that before. But what you can do is take little tiny breaks from the stress, because stress response is supposed to look like peaks and valleys. You go up, you have fight or flight, and then you come back down to rest and digest. And it looks like peaks and valley. For most people, they get stressed out in the morning and it just stays up there all day long. It's like a, what do you call it? Like a plateau, right? So what can you do is take little short breaks from the stress. And that's what I call Zen monkey time. So here's some examples of Zen monkey time. And if you choose to do this one, you're just going to pick one little simple thing to do every single day. It could be as simple as setting a timer on your phone for 2 minutes and just sit quietly and feel your breath. It could be meditating. It could be doing breathing techniques, laughing. Go on YouTube, look up something funny, laugh. It could be going for a slow walk. Leisurely paced walk actually lowers the stress hormone cortisol. And that's kind of a 2-for-1. If you want to start walking on most days, if you go at a slow to moderate pace, you're killing that one under fitness. And then you're also getting some Zen monkey time. Doing things that bring you joy. So maybe it's a creative outlet. Maybe it's playing a musical instrument. Maybe, something artistic, creative, being outside in nature, spending time with a pet, spending time with loved ones, listening to music, reading a book, taking a bubble bath, getting a massage, right? I want you to take this really seriously, because we tend to have too much of the wrong kinds of stress. And what we can do to offset that, like I just said, is get some of that Zen monkey time. Okay, here we go. The last thing we're going to talk about is here's how you're going to write your statement. And again, this is on that worksheet. zenmonkey.com/busy. What is it you'll do? Very specifically. For how long? Or like what's the quantity of time? Is it once a day? Is it for 5 minutes? Is it 3 times a day? So what is it you'll do? And I'm going to give you an example. For what amount of time on how many days a week, so that you become who? Okay. So here's what your statement could look like. I'm going to give you a few examples. I will strength train for 5 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday so that I will become an extremely fit person. Bam. I will go for a walk for, no, I want to go back to the example I used before. I will put on my walking shoes every morning so that I will become a walker. I will become someone who walks every day. Okay. I will eat vegetables with lunch and dinner 5 days a week so that I become an extremely healthy person from the inside out. Are you getting it? Okay. This is a good one, and I love doing these type of little workshop things with you. And I love seeing you here, hanging out, spending time together. Oh yeah, Spindrift. Dun, dun, dun. Drinking my Spindrift. So go grab that worksheet, stressmonkey.com/busy. And if you want examples of what a day could look like with a good amount of protein in it, with example meals, stressmonkey.com/protein. All right. Thanks for hanging with your girl, Alicia. I had so much fun with you today. And listen, if you like this show, can you just share it with a friend? They will really appreciate it, and I'll appreciate it so much, so very much. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll